Good morning, beautiful people. We're going to start back. We're back on to where I left off yesterday with the interview at the police department on January 31. On January 30, the night of, Charles Vallow tried to get home, and he found out that his ticket was canceled for Arizona. And so he had to buy a new ticket. And then when he got home, he found out that his truck was either gone or his keys were missing, or both. And then he found out when he got home that it looked like nobody was home, and he didn't dare to go in because he didn't know what other kind of surprise he would have for him. Lori had taken $35,000 out of the business account, which she obviously had some access to. And don't forget, shortly after this, Lori took off for her 59 days missing in action. And I wonder what school of cultism she went to in that 59 days and what that $35,000 bought for her. Did it pay Chad Daybell's bills? Did it pay for her luxury vacation? I heard she went to Hawaii to ask her old friend April, who she had met at the LDS church in Kauai. She went there to ask her if she would come along with her to the $144,000 that Lori had jurisdiction over. Lori tried to convince April into coming with her, but she emphatically told her that her two sons couldn't come. And April reclined the offer, as anyone else would that has some sense of righteousness and being, and they don't believe in phony baloney stuff like being so godlike that you have the right to go places like stay on earth when the whole earth is destructed, that you'll be one of the 144,000 club. So with that said, I realized that Melanie was in a pickle. I realized her friend Lori was lying to the police and trying to hide that she was threatening people to murder. Lori was doing a good job, and it appeared that she had Tylee pretty much schooled as much as any controlling, terrible mother could, and that she had her friend, but her friend was an adult. She wasn't a child. But it appeared that she had Melanie under control throughout this interview on January 31st at the Gilbert, Arizona Police Department. Charles had drawn up paperwork, I would assume the day before, to have Lori committed for a thorough, not an intake, a thorough mental health evaluation. And that did not happen because the intake worker did not follow through. She weighted the situation towards Lori. She let Lori, or he, I'm not sure what sex the intake worker was at the community mental health center, but he or she weighed the evidence in favor of Lori. So the police seemed to give her advice how to avoid going to community bridges. And not only did they give her advice to avoid going to community bridges, but they also gave her advice how to prevent being summoned by the police. They told her not to answer her door. I mean, they didn't emphatically say, don't answer your door. They said, oh, if the police come, look through the peephole. And when you look through the peephole, if you see that it's police, they're going to be there most likely to have you, to transport you for your thorough psych eval. So don't answer the door was the suggestions that the police officer was giving her. All along on the phone with Charles, he was playing rough tough with Charles. He was saying he'd arrest him if he didn't bring her personal purse back and her cell phone. But he had also caught Lori in a lie because she told him she had no ways to communicate with people. And then he heard a phone ringing. And he looks and he goes, "Oh, you got a phone," because she had told him Charles had taken her phone. What she didn't go ahead and tell the police, as well as Melanie Gibb, that they had many phones, that Lori had many phones. One was a private line expressly to Chad Daybell. Another phone, who knows what that was. I heard Melanie Gibb in one of her interviews say that she knew of 3 of many phones between the Daybell cult. So there was all kinds of lies going on. Charles was being treated like a second-class citizen, which I will re-emphasize. That's what happens when you're a man and you're big and brawly and you are saying that your wife is crazy and that you're saying that you're very worried about your family because of how crazy she is. And then the little petite wife comes in and uses, "Hello? Hello? Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Yes, I understand." She uses that very lilty, demure voice to also seduce you into thinking that she is harmless. So Charles was up against a system that favors women, that believe that men make up things when they're in harm's way. And as we all know, Charles Vallow did not make up a thing. He knew he was in harm's way. He knew his children were in harm's way. And he was doing everything possible to save his family. Also, he was doing everything possible to get her help. So he knew he was spreading the rumor, as they tried to infer in the interview. So Lori did a good job because they weren't admitting. At one point, the police officer asked Gibb, "I don't want generalities," he said. And he yelled at her, sort of. He went, "I don't want generalities. Say what it is." Because she was like, Charles was saying this and that and this and that. And that's when he kind of yelled at her and said, "I don't want generalities." And so Lori piped up and she said, oh, he thinks that my son's in danger, that JJ's in danger. And I'm not sure if it's this part of the interview, but at some point the cop says to them, "Well, I don't see any danger. You brought your kids to school this morning. I don't see any danger." Now, on the Richter scale of danger, how high does bringing your kids, or how perfect of a parent are you by bringing your kids to school? I mean, it's a law that you have to bring your kids to school. If we didn't have those laws in the United States of America, we might see a change. We might see a change that kids don't go to school because of lack of parenting. But I don't see what having to bring a child to school has to do with whether he's in danger or not. But that's what the cop said. "I don't see any danger. You brought your kids to school." So anyways, I've given you I've given you the part that I wanted to share to kind of recap what was talked about yesterday. And I'm going to start reading. I got to find you guys, if anyone's on. I got to find you to see, meaning find if I can see any chat, if there is such a thing. Sometimes there isn't, and sometimes there is. So let me look. And in the meantime, I said it yesterday, and I'm going to say it again today. Can you lie by omission? Can you sit in a police interview? Can you sit in the police interview and know that the police are asking specific questions? And can you lie saying that the questions that they are asking don't need to be answered because you know that those questions, or those answers rather, would sort of indict your friend? Now, Melanie Gibb knew at that time that Charles was being targeted as a zombie and that she was threatening to kill people. I'm going to read something here. It says, it's by D Love by 2. Good afternoon. She says, does anyone know if Melanie has a plea deal with the cops? Because I think we need a petition. I honestly want her in just jail. I despise women. Now, first of all, hey, D, if you'll share with me, are you a woman or a man saying this? Because it means a big difference. See, I'm a woman. I'm a woman, and I know how much women in the past in my life have gotten away with where they do extremely egregious things. And because they are women, they are given personal pardons. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about women who are cunning and coy, who are given pardons by society because they have that title as a woman. Jaja says, the police clearly need at least a 4-year degree, including psych and social courses, to better understand the human behavior. The police academy doesn't cut it. Yeah, right. Plus, I'll be honest with you, when I went to school, I had criminal justice students in my program, and a lot of them spent their whole time drinking, not because they're bad people, but because they were young kids. So whatever they could have learned, they really didn't do a good job of learning it because they were out partying, heavily. No, again, they could have come out of that school and gone on to be terrific cops because they matured. But at the time that they were actually getting their education, they were party animals. That's the other thing. Going to school sometimes when you're 18, 19, 20, and, sometimes it's a waste of the education. Melanie Gibb laughed when Lori was talking, basically siding with Lori that Charles was overreaction to the situation. Not only Kelly Fitzgerald, not only did she do that, but there was parts where the cops were asking specifically Melanie Gibb. They were asking her specifically to answer what Charles had said when she went to the house. When she went to the house, because he had texted her on Lori's phone, they went to the house and they were asking, the two cops were asking, hey, what did he want? Why did he text you? And what she did right then and there is hush up. She didn't say what he was telling her, and what he was explaining to her is exactly what we all know: zombies. That she's been married to Maroney, that she's belongs to the 144,000, that she'll kill him, that he's Ned Schneider. So we all know that. We all know that without question, Charles was telling Melanie that story. That is why he texted her. A couple of hours later, she's at the police department with Lori, and she went mute. And I said this before. Why did she go mute? Because she's loyal to a friend? But are you really loyal to a friend when they're threatening murder? When he wants her evaluated because she's threatening murder, and that she goes to that evaluation and she denies that she's threatening murder, and she gets released from that evaluation, and Melanie Gibb never went to the police department on her own and said, I want to share something with you. My friend lied to you today, and I lied by omission, because when you answered me questions, I rather ignored them, and so didn't she. And we made fun of it like it was a joke. We didn't, when anything was mentioned, they mentioned it in a joke form, and they all started laughing. Like Charles was making up this egregious stuff, that it was all his weird thinking. They reversed the weird thinking, the weird thoughts, to say that it was Charles's weird thinking, that it was Charles's weird thoughts, and they put the blame on him. The same way, and I'm going off subject, but the same way Melanie Pulowski did, the same way Summer Shitlett did, and the same way Janice Cox, Lori's mother, did. They all have the art of manipulation down packed. And I'm going to say, Melanie Gibb comes off like she wants to be a purist. I don't think so. She's only a purist because she's targeted in the public light. And as she told you in that interview, was she going to get slammed by the public? Was she going to be looked at like another Lori or another Melanie Pulowski or another Summer Shitlett or any Chad Daybell or any of them? That's all she was worried about, was if her name would get damned in the public. In the UK, this is what Chrissy writes, in the UK, the standard of education and continuous professional development is very high, and they work very closely with the NHS mental health support for this exact reason. Well, they were schooling a very mentally ill woman how to portray herself as not mentally ill, without even their knowledge whether she was or not. They didn't even care about her baseline of mental illness. They only cared about schooling her to get out of it. So Catherine says, Mel Gibb was under the mindset that she wasn't as beautiful as Lori. She looked at Lori as a guide on how to behave. Melanie Boudreau could very likely have saved Charles and the children. She knew Lori was cheating. Yeah, Melanie Gibb also knew. They both knew. And I think, and I'm speaking out of school here, I think Zach Cox, who lived with them, might not have known as overtly as the two Melanies. The two Melanies knew 100% what was going down with Lori. But I think Zach knew, and probably Tylee knew as well what was going on. So yes, I believe that they knew. But what I'm saying is there was a lot of cover up from Melanie Gibb in the interview, and I haven't even read the rest of it yet. Of course, we start talking, and I don't read the actual word by word interview. But to say something, she portrays herself as being this purist, but on the other hand, she shows us how she can be quite cunning, because that's what I would label it as when she was under that police interview with Lori and Tylee, that she was acting cunning in the sense that she was holding back information that would have supported Charles's charge of having his wife go for the evaluation. And then when she got to the Community Bridges mental health facility, what could have happened there is she could have dropped Lori off at home or the hotel, wherever Lori decided she was living that day. But she could have dropped her off and gone back to Community Bridges. And if she couldn't actually talk to the intake worker that dealt with Lori, she could write a note to the intake worker. And she could say, I talked to Charles Vallel this morning at his home, and he has some concerns, and I can assure you that his concerns are, I can verify that those are real concerns, that he's not making this up, that he's not this husband that's trying to attack his little petite sweet voice wife. So that's what I'm saying, is I don't understand why she didn't act proactively when she knew that Lori did say those things. So she did lie to the police. I can't say she lied to the therapist at the community mental health intake, but I can for sure tell you, when I re-listened to the interview at the police department with the three women, Tylee and Melanie and Lori, it was for sure that she hid, she ignored, and that's why the officer felt it from her. When he yelled at her, he felt that she was just, who says, and he was saying this and this and this. When you're talking to a police, you wouldn't say, oh, the robber said this and this and this. No, the robber said, stick up, put your hands up in the air. The robber didn't come to your bank window and say this and this and this. But that's what Melanie was doing. She was gaslighting the police. So you tell me, guys, is she educated in gaslighting when need be? This Miss Purist. Let me read back now that I've talked all this time. I wish Charlie would have talked to someone, but how could she after she's seen how the cops treated her father? Everyone failed those kids. She felt like she had no one. Of course. That's why when there's abhorrent behavior, bizarre behavior, you should always assign your child someone they can talk to, obviously the best they can, because then one side or the other tries to stranglehold the child. And she was strangleheld by Lori, certainly not by Charles. She was strangleheld by Lori. Okay, let me see. I'll go backwards in the chat here. They should be writing books on gaslighting, a book on how to murder innocents and try to get away. Oh yeah, you're right. That's their forte, huh? Melanie, Lori, and Chad Daybell, and let's add Melanie, Pulowski, Summer, Janice. They can all be book writers, authors. They can write The Art of Manipulation, The Art of Killing, The Art of Killing Your Own Children. I mean, that's being perverse, but that's truly what they could do. And legitimately have a job and legitimately earn money, not kill people to get money. So here we go. They should be writing books on that's right. If you were dating an abusive man, the first thing they do is isolate you from your friends and family. Same thing Lori did by killing off people and moving around. Oh, yes. And guess what, guys? I feel bad for Colby, because I'm going to say to you that I think Colby might know more things of his mother's tendencies. I am not saying that he knows anything exacting that could shed more light on her misdeeds, but I am saying that he knows maybe somewhat of the fabric that she's made out of, because he must know that the Cox family are made out of that same fabric that Lori is. I mean, it's very noticeable for us, and we're not even in close relationship, how they all talk the same, how they all think the same, how they all emote the same. Tylee would have been loyal to her mother. It would have been hard for her to speak up against Lori. No, no. Some teenagers will be loyal in front of their parent, but when they get around someone they trust, they'll open up sometimes. But that wasn't a normal family, Mary, so my opinion probably isn't worth anything, because why would she? She was probably inundated with their whack out doctrines. I know she didn't mention it. It's in the police report, however. Thank our higher power, and those ones taking their truth is helping resolve the case, praying to continue. Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit. Chrissy, did you know that the feds are now looking at ways to educate the local police to watch for the... Oh, I didn't know this, Dee. Thank you. So hopefully a lot of good ones come out of this. No, is it based, Dee, on this case is why the feds are looking how to do some better training? D, loved by two, about time. Integration between services, the only way to truly protect the public. And that's true. You can't be an independent part in all of this. You got to be all in the same continuum. And that's why I thought they had continuum of cares. Not only social service providers go, police go, lawyers go, judges go. They go to these continuum of care conventions and trainings and workshops to learn what we're talking about today. But obviously, they fail, and they let the women gab. They kept shutting Charles off. Every time he talked, they'd shut him off with some crude statement, or rude. If it wasn't crude, it was somewhat rude. But the girls in the room got to laugh and chitter-chatter and talk away, even though they're the ones, not Tylee, of course, but they're the ones that had the evil objective. Yeah. I said that women know I am a woman. I love every creature alive has value. I can't kill a bug without feeling guilty. Jaja says, with continuing education. Yeah, that's true. In the UK, yeah, I already read that one, right? I'll read it again. In the UK, the standard of education and continuous professional development is very high. And the work very closely with the NHS mental health support for their exact reason. Sorry, I should have said standard of education for our police force. Everyone, please smash the thumbs up, they said. I didn't say that. You do whatever you want. Chrissy, did you know that the feds are now looking at ways to educate the local police? I love it. Love by two, about time, integration of services. To think that Tylee knew. Oh, Kelly. To think that Tylee knew about being a zombie meant, and walked around with a target on her back just waiting. Makes me just sick to think about it. And yes, to hear her little voice saying, no, Mom, not me. Because I guess her mom had called her a zombie. Excuse me. Excuse me. So she said, no, Mom, not me. The poor little girl. What, how disgusting to grow up with those kinds of people. The kids weren't being allowed. No, they weren't. Talking about driving off cliffs. That'd be a day that I talk about to a child that we shouldn't be here on earth, that we should all be in our cars and drive off a cliff. That's what Annie Cushing, Tylee's aunt, had said Lori was talking about. So how do you say this isn't severe abuse before the murder? This isn't after the murder, meaning Lori didn't come up with these things because she got the murderous blood in her. She was like this before she started to murder. Gibb should have said that Lori was believed Charles was a zombie. That is insane. Yes, I wish Charlie would have talked to someone, but how could she after she's seen how the cops treated her father? Oh, yeah. And do you remember during the interview, she said, he's a rather stand-up guy. And the cop felt her for that moment. He felt a child that was trying to say, my dad ain't that bad. He's a rather stand-up guy. They should be writing books on gaslighting. Yep. I know I'm going backwards, but I had to. Ooh, shoot, now I just lost you. That's what I do. My fingers lose you guys. Tylee's friend from Hawaii who went to her memorial service, also interviewed, said the same thing about Lori wanting to run off the cliff. Yep. So the sister-in-law, Annie Cushing, so that was Joe Ryan's sister, said that she had said that a long time before. It wasn't, because remember Charles in the night he got home from the airport, the cop said to him, how long has this been going on? And he said, well, she's really been going down for the past 4 to 5 years. But she's been getting really bad in the last month or so. Now, mind you, she had just met Chad that fall. This was January. So how did she get so bad if she had been failing, if she had been getting this religious, bizarre ideas for 4 to 5 years? Then what happened from that fall to January the next year? Oh, that's so sad about how she tried to save their lives. Tylee must have overheard and called them out. What teenager wouldn't if it was out of ordinary? Do you think Melanie Gibb got immunity? Yes. Deborah Adams, I think. Oh, by the way, guys, if anyone can post a link, another Adams lady, before I forget this, I think her name's Sarah Adams, needs a way so that she can watch the Dateline show. I mean, was anything evidentiary to you guys? Like, I don't know who saw it that's in the chat, but did anyone in this chat happen to see or hear anything that you already didn't know about, other than some areas where Keith prompts Melanie about not saying enough? Like he really said, and you took that? Like, it's almost like you took that standing up and you didn't faint when Lori talked like that? No, one of those people involved should have rights back to their own children. Oh, I know. Who knows what could happen to them? They freak me out. Yes, like, I don't know how old Summer's kids are. I hope she doesn't have custody, because I heard she got divorced from her husband a few years back. And I hope he has full custody and that they have no rights to go see those grandparents. Lori seems to have had ideas about jumping off cliffs long before she met Chad. Yes, that's 100%, because I heard that in an interview that Annie Cushion had done. Chad just fed her delusions and encouraged her for his own purposes. Yeah, all money and greed. He saw her as a ticket to ride. He says, I haven't been working my whole life. You know, I started out digging graves. And while we're on it, guys, I want to talk about this. This is gruesome, and I'm awfully sad to talk about something so gruesome, but I want to ask whoever's in the chat your opinion on why Tylee's body was charred. And when I talk extremely slow, like I am, it's because I have like a little bit of anxiety because I actually, it's so gruesome that I can't spill it out timely. But does anyone in this chat have any idea of why her body and not JJ's was found charred? Someone says, me too, so scary. I don't like that religion. I'm surrounded where I live. I couldn't wait for you to come on again. You are making a difference. So the top guy that she's been checking, Tylee and JJ, said it's the worst. Ooh, yes, yes, the premonitions that I saw before. I did see him. Cutting her up. I think Lori was involved too. Of course, I don't think Alex could. You do with all. He couldn't deal with all the blood and everything. Some words I can't see. I can read them, guys. I just can't say them. Sorry. I have little tiny blocks I'm the type that can't even watch a gory movie. Never have been. If a gory movie comes on, I either walk out of the room or I shut it off. If someone else is watching it, I go do something else. Because my whole entire life, I have never been able to watch any type of gore. But anyways, JJ was a light being and Tylee was dark and had to be killed ritualistically. Now, SMH 9000, that's an interesting idea. But I'm going to tell you, I had a little tiny conversation with an engineer friend of mine. And I said, I had my own opinion. So I gave him my own opinion. I said, listen, I think the reason that Tylee might have been cut up is because our bodies are over 60% water. So it is very hard. That's why the incinerators are so like up around 2000 Fahrenheit, somewhere around that. I don't know the actual number, but I know it's way high. And our bodies do not burn that well. So I asked him, and he said to me, what happens when we try to burn something like a wet log and you put it on the bonfire? Does it burn? I said, no, it actually does the opposite. It helps the fire go out. And he goes, that's why I think they may have that's why she's dismembered, because there wouldn't have been enough fire, no matter how big the bonfire, the heat thrown off in the fire wouldn't have been enough to burn a whole body. So it was his opinion, the opposite of whoever just suggested that it was because they had to make a large bonfire and put smaller pieces in. And that's why it was charred. And your teeth really don't burn, or not all of them. They might dissolve as time goes by, but your teeth usually remain. And I don't know if they were finished, and this is an awful thing to talk about, but were they finished, or were they going to keep having bonfires? You know? Here we go. I'm going to read some of your comments. Now that I've traumatized you all and myself, I'm awfully sorry. It's really hard stuff to talk about. So I ended where Catherine said she had premonitions that it was Lori involved with the killing of Tylee. You can't stand gore either. Sarah, hi neighbor, Seattle here. They might have tried to burn Tylee to get rid of her body. However, you can't burn a human body in a normal garden bonfire. Correct. When they killed JJ, they just wrapped him up and buried him. How about that Chad was predicting Tammy's death long before he met Lori? Oh, because he had other women in waiting. He just came across the prime person, the one that had as much evil in herself as in him. He hadn't met someone that could delve that deeply into evil as Lori. That's my opinion. You guys tell me what you think. Do you think he came across his equal in evil? It had nothing. He had other women. He was playing the field, so to speak. That's my opinion. Deborah Adams says, I think the cruel act was supposed to happen to both children on the same night, but Alex lost his guts and couldn't do it twice. Oh, I get what you're saying. Huh, that's interesting, Deborah. That's very interesting. That very well could be. But he seemed so heartless. I mean, he had already killed Charles. He had already tried to kill Joe Ryan in 2007. I don't think, I think, now you guys can take this with a grain of salt as well. I think they were trying to burn her body way after the fact of killing her. That's my idea, that they thought they had time at one point to get rid of any evidence, because what would we have for evidence if they had really done what they were intending to do? The intention to me was to get rid of the body. To me, it was a criminal act. It wasn't a ritual. It wasn't anything related to being part of a sick cult. That's my opinion. I know that someone else just wrote the opposite, or not the opposite, but they thought it was ritualistic. I don't think so. I think they were ridding themselves out of a body that they could get criminal charges up against. Without the body, they would never have criminal charges. Mary Kennedy says, I think you were right. Lori is Chad's equal in evil. Chad must have thought he hit the jackpot when he met, of course. Yes, he's like, wow, she's as crazy as me, but guess what? I can probably get some income out of her. He didn't have any income. She had a husband that was wealthy. She had a husband that had a $1 million life insurance policy. She also had a relative, Brandon Boudreaux, that had $1 million, that if she sicked Alex on him, that the family hitman, they could all partake in part of that $1 million. He hit the jackpot. And then, of course, he had the $430,000. I'll read backwards again. I don't think he minds the death part, but all the gore that comes with dismemberment was too much for him. He wasn't a hunter, just a hitman. Oh, yeah, you're right, Debbie. You're right. That's probably it. Yes, same with me, Ian. Ram Jatin. Same with me. My emotions are totally out of control. Yes. I agree, not Satanism, although they are evildoers. Don't forget, Chad sold Tupperware and Pampered Chef as his Bible studies. I did laugh before I saw the LOL. Yeah, I did laugh. Let me see where I was. I know what you mean. It's hard to say it out loud, but I think it's the dark spirit. Rubbish to seal her away like her father. Yes. I think Tylee's body was bigger and would be easy to find, but whoever dismembered Tylee did not want to do it again with JJ. Yeah, and the other thing is two things. Of course, your body has more than 60% water, so it's a very hard thing to burn without very high Fahrenheit. But the other thing is when you're heavier set, the fat obviously will burn a hair bit easier than if you're lean. I think Alex stopped at Mavericks to get some petrol. Petrol, is that what Mavericks is? Petrol for the bonfire. I didn't know what that was. It's a gas station. Mavericks is obviously, you wouldn't be telling me this. How about Chad was predicting Tammy's death? Yep. I know what you mean. It's hard to say it out loud. I think Alex stopped. My heart is sick. Oh my gosh, I didn't know he sold Tupperware and Pampered. Yeah, I bought Pampered in Michigan when I was back on Lake Michigan for 18 months in my 40s. That's just gross. Yeah, that's how he made his income, because he didn't do anything else. You know, his books didn't sell. At the Gram says, all you beautiful people, thank you for being here. My stomach is twirling, thinking of the smells, the hard time in the medical classes, in autopsies. Yes. Tylee was supposed to receive money from her dad, Joseph, when she turned 18. Yes, Deborah Adams. And also, as we all know, between the two, they were receiving about $6,000 a month. And I said it before, and I don't want to keep repeating myself, but that's why she had the birth certificates and the Social Security cards with her in Hawaii, because the cost of living in that very affluent island is a lot higher than the cost of living in Phoenix, Arizona. It's like night and day. And so she was going to apply for their Social Security, meaning that's all she would have had to have done is change of address. Once her and Chad had a permanent change of address in Hawaii, which it looks like that's what they were heading to do, that they were going to stay over there in evil bliss. You know, I don't think they had any plans to coming back to the mainland. But yes, they wanted to. They wanted to change the address, and it would up it. So if they were getting 6,000, they might have ended up with like 7,500. That's just an example of the difference from a cost of living perspective when they use the cost of living guide in each town. Yeah. Aaron, I think they shot that baby in the barn. Why bring up the shot fired over and over? My opinion. They were really overthinking. You know how a kid tries to cover up things, gets a voice. I lost you there. What are you talking about, D Love by 2? About they shot JJ in the barn? Yeah. And then he went, then Alex went to a Mexican drive-through or something after he delivered either the murdered bodies or the bodies to be murdered. We all don't know if they were murdered before arriving there at Daybell site or if they were murdered on the site. I think Chad has it in him to murder. I don't. I think he has, for money, I think Chad will do anything. To live with Lori for the rest of his life, I think Chad would do anything. And I think all of them would. I think they're all money hungry. Someone mentioned in the, oh, by the way, guys, I don't know who was online this morning. I tried to go online and we were talking about last night's Dateline, which I didn't find very informative because she really didn't say too much of what she said before. The only thing I knew that Keith was questioning her a lot about how she withstood all the information and didn't fall over. Yeah, you think Aaron and Lexi thinks that Lori definitely killed Tylee. I have no problem believing that, Aaron and Lexi. Yeah, and whenever they dashed off to Hawaii and Melanie Pulowski protected them, she said, no, they had it planned. You know that Melanie Pulowski, Chad, and Lori were going to have Thanksgiving that day. The reason they took off for Hawaii is because the cops were on to them. They were right on their footsteps, right? And so the reason Melanie Pulowski was aimlessly driving from Idaho to Arizona with no place to go was because they ditched her to run to Hawaii to hide from the police, especially when they got the notion that Gibb wasn't going to cover for them. That's the only thing right that I've seen that she has done in this whole craziness, is that at least she had the notion to stop it right then and there. Yeah, and then someone from the agency I work for called me, so I didn't catch the end. Well, Mary Kennelly, I'm going to tell you, there was no end. We were talking, and then all of a sudden I got all these messages saying that I had a bad communication, and I had been talking, let's say 20 minutes, and I wasn't even online, I guess. So yeah, I was online and we were talking about, people had suggested that they were like Ted Bundy and Charles Manson and all the crazies, Dahmer. And I was saying the difference is yes, they are like them because they're killers. So check that box. But they're even more egregious because they kill their own. Those other serial killers don't kill their own. They go home and make their kid a nice meal right after they've killed someone. They go home and they watch a good movie with their family. So who is worse, Lori and Chad, Alex, and the rest of the cult? The only information that I got last night that interested me or that I didn't know is Keith made it 100% known that there are other people involved. I hope you guys heard this, that there are other people involved. And I think that's why they're being so methodic, so slow, so deliberate on trying to wait so that they can corner the cult. Everything is worth cornering the cult at this point. They have the two primary people that had the access to the children. So they're satisfied. But to me, they're cornering the cult because there's others. Keith did mention that. He did mention, and that is what the only good information that came out of there. You know, they mentioned about JJ again climbing up on the refrigerator. That is crazy. Any kid unmedicated that has autism or any disability or any hyperactivity is going to be climbing on the walls. To make it out that it was some important factor in all of this. You know, oh, because she was zombifying him. She was saying he's a zombie. Well, Melanie and David could tell he wasn't a zombie because there's no such thing. So what's the gaffe there? I didn't understand it at all. Oh my God, yeah, I think they did it at Chad's while Alex was MIA for almost 3 hours. Yeah, I bet so. I am, and I'm not satisfied about the kids being found, but I'm happy for the family that loved them were right. Their intuition was right. They had more than intuition. Intuition is just a gut feeling when you're kind of by yourself. But they had more because they had a lot of evidence. Unlike the Cox family, they had a lot of evidence to support their intuitions. So it wasn't just this manifest of crazy ideas like the Cox did. They manifested all these bizarre stories about how dangerous Charles was. Yeah, he was dangerous. He was dangerous because he was trying to take away your money bank from you. That's what made him dangerous. To them, taking their money becomes you're a dangerous person. IRS is dangerous, aren't they? They take your money. They didn't like IRS. Tylee was supposed to receive money yet. I got to go backwards again. Very hard to use gloves when using tape, so I'm praying there's fingerprints. Yeah, Aaron and Lexi, that's what I said. I made this phony hitman for hire type resume the other day, identifying Alex's attempts to murder. And that's what I said because I was trying, while I was making the phony fake resume for Alex Cox, I was thinking, what DNA would we have? Where can we find? And that's exactly what I was thinking. I think I wrote that in the resume, that, you know, hopefully there's DNA from, they're too dumb. They never thought they were going to get caught. They're too dumb. That's why they brought their phones and whatnot. That's why they brought people in today's world. If you're committing a murder, you don't bring your phone with you unless you're like Jodi Arias that shuts it off and whatever she did driving through California and Arizona and Utah. Yeah, tape also catches hairs. Yes. So God bless they didn't try to burn him, multi-sirens. God bless that JJ is intact so that they can look for those things. And they were very methodical as far as what I read about clearing all the natural debris surrounding him and, you know, packaging it up to take to the lab. Very hard to use, yeah. But I saw a show that said he was subdued, watching TV like a normal person, and for that, she called him a zombie. His behavior was from going to school, getting ways to control his energy. Oh, yeah. Oh, any kids like that, multi-sirens, if they don't get to go and be with their peers, I don't care what age they are, they act out. Doesn't even have to be a kid that has a medical condition. Yes, we found that especially, however, they can use glove. I think that at Chad's why Alex was, oh, yeah. Good, I'm satisfied now that the kids are found. I saw another show today that said because they use plastic bags and tape, it leaves fingerprints. Yeah. Sorry to be graphic here. Dismembering a body is very messy. Oh, I know. That's why I was wondering, guys, this is awful to ask, but it seemed like he was going back and forth a little bit from his apartment to Lori's. Do you think they did any dismemberment in the bathtub at Lori's or at Alex's and then brought them like in a container? Oh, and you're saying they could have done it in the barn. Well, they had a search warrant for the whole area, I think. Passive-aggressive cycle explains Chad to the ET. To the T, not the ET. I never even saw the ET movie. That was so long ago, and I'm an adult. I still haven't seen E.T., but this reminds me of E.T. I must have E.T. on my mind. I was watching you, and then it just started spinning. Yes, I was online this morning. I was talking up a storm. Guys, I was going on, and all of a sudden, I realized that everything I had said wasn't videoed. I think maybe possibly a little greater than half got videoed this morning. So that's why I came on now, and I wanted to continue on that I think Gumshoe Graham has found an opening, and the opening is that Melanie covered up for Lori during that police interview. And I think that it was upon herself as an adult to go back and make amends of what she didn't say while she was there. So that would be my question for her. But I know she didn't. I know she's not big enough of a woman. She's not even big enough of a woman to think like a woman. Yes, can someone, I am too, D. I am confused about the gunshot the same day. Okay. My friend was telling me that he thought that the gunshot was just a fake, that there was no gunshot. No one reported a gunshot in that time period. It doesn't mean there wasn't one, but no one in the neighborhood reported hearing one in the September timeframe. So could the gunshot be just made up to Tammy in the text? He's riding around with a body, then he stopped to get gas to burn it with brazen. Alex had so much gall, so brazen. He's the type of murderer who felt untouchable. And yes, untouchable and they don't have feelings. None of them, I say this over and over, they're devoid. They're all empty vessels. They talk about heaven as if it's the place that is better than earth. But they're the ones that take the people away from earth. They're the ones that don't give the people the choice. So how come they can decide what's better? You're not going to tell me heaven's better if I like it down here in earth. Yeah. I posted earlier that Dummy sent 2 texts. The first he sent in July when he actually killed the raccoon, and resent it in September to cover his tracks. Yes. Yes. But he could have said to Tammy that same day, he could have said, hey, Tammy, I shot the raccoon today, but he could have never fired a round. You know, he didn't have to fire the round. He just had to make an excuse why the ground was soft and looked, different than the rest of the earth. So whether he fired a shot on any day in September, who knows? I guess she was working, Betsy B. She was working, and he sent her a litany of texts saying that he had found a raccoon up in the tree, and he shot it down, and he buried it in the pet cemetery. But really, it was the same day that they found that they feel that. Now I'm confused. If it was JJ or Tylee's body. Can someone remind me what I'm mush brain right now? Was it the day that Tylee was supposed to be killed, or the day that JJ? Oh, I think it was Tylee. Yes, Tylee, Betsy B. Yes. Where was Oh yeah, zombies that died. Charles Vallow, Tylee, JJ, Tammy Daybell, zombies with financial benefits to Chad Laurie, Charles Tylee. Yes. 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 And I think they split. See, I think it was a family annihilation. I don't think this is just a couple gone crazy that coerced their brother or brother-in-law into murder. I think this is family annihilation, that they are an enterprise, the Cox Daybell enterprise, and that they all schemed for some of that money. Because I bet they're all really without assets unless they scheme. Yeah, they talk about heaven like they are going. Yeah, I mean, other than a disease or a natural death taking me, right? Or an accident, no one has the right to choose that for me. But even worse, they don't have the right to tell me or tell my loved ones that I wanted to be there. This is what angered me about Shitlet and Alex Cox and Melanie Pulowski. They make it like that the ones that are dead are feeling honored to be dead. That's what I resent. If Tylee or JJ were shot, their bones should tell the story. Yes, of course. Yes, 100%, Deb Witzel. I think Chad got his hands dirty with Tylee. I can see that. I can see Chad doing the actual deeds to one or both of them. Maybe both out. Doesn't take long to kill someone. Alex pulls up with the child. They think they're going there they tell them they're going there. I got this plane going overhead. I'm not sure if you're picking it up. They tell the children that they're going over to Chad's house for some false reason. They get there and they both kill him. I can see that very much. When Alex was in jail for tasering Joe Ryan, he wanted his friend to contact Janice Cox and have her reveal Joe Ryan's address so his friends, in jail, could harm him. Yes, he made some kind of threat about blasting Joe's contact information throughout the prison or jail so that everyone would know him. Gumshoe Graham. Did you hear it? James was here. Did you hear the airplane? What do you mean? We got James, we don't just have planes here. We got NASA here in Florida. Space shuttles going up left and right. Raul Thomas says Chad spent more in Hawaii in 3 months than he earned. 2 years, probably his whole life, Raul. I'm just being the wise guy, but yeah. I heard the airplane, says Mary. Yeah, it was loud and it was low. It was a commercial plane too. It wasn't, and I don't have a commercial airport near me, but it was a commercial plane and it was very, very low. The 2 months in Hawaii takes a lot of Tupperware sales, Kelly says. Oh, sounds like JJ has enough tissue, so we'll know if he was shot. Oh, yes, Betsy B. Yes, so yeah, it's terrible. How long do you think the autopsies would take? I think Betsy B, I think Chad and Lori were renting, it looked like, and I could be wrong, like a condominium. A condominium. I could be wrong, but that's what it looked like to me, that it's a place that has many homes in it. Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad that we have mothers and stepfathers killing their own children. And I'll say it until I can't say it anymore. To me, it was always about the money. To me, it was the killings, the primary reason. There might be secondary reasons, but the primary reason to me was the money. That's sad, Erin and Lexi. That's really sad that you think they smothered him. I don't know, maybe 10 miles, D, and that's just me thinking out loud. Maybe it was in a different town, maybe a little longer, maybe a 20-minute ride to Chad's house, which was in Salem. It's not in Rexburg, and she was in Rexburg. Tammy said the man ran off around the back. That's what, when she called for Chad, that's what, well, she would have known Chad. We all know how our spouses walk and run. So we know it wasn't Chad. She would have known his height, his size, his stance. But I think it was Alex. Yeah, I think it was Alex in that he ran around. I don't know what you were answering to. So anyways, guys, that we didn't go on topic again. I always go off topic. I was going to read. Do you want me to read? No, probably don't, because you can go on and listen. But what I'm going to tell you is the girls were always talking over every time a question was answered, they all talked at the same time. So I had to listen and listen and listen to get the gist of what they were answering. When my son passed away, it took 4 to 5 months to find out the cause of death. Tammy's ID probably would be that or even longer, where it's a crime. Yep, I agree with you, Hannah. I agree. And plus, they're going to be looking for, as we all remember what's his name said? Remember what Ian said? Ian said, oh, what are they going to be looking for? All the invisible poisons? Olangsi says, I think the children were both drugged, at least initially. That makes sense. Helps ensure they are complacent, but also it's easier to hope about being less painful and torturous. Okay, the killings had to be somewhere else. Chad's grown kids were still living in that tiny 3-bedroom house. Does anyone know why they were all living there? I keep losing you on my screen, but I can still talk. I just don't see what you're writing. Does anyone know why they were living there? Maybe that's why Alex was carrying JJ. Oh, yes, Lisa Henderson. They probably haven't released all the pings. Yes, they probably haven't released all. They've only given us enough to, satisfy us for a little bit, and they'll let out more because obviously they're letting things out before the trial. They don't have to let out a thing, but they're, inching it out. Dutch Reagan says, I think it would be on Alex's cell phone records if he were there on the date of October 9th. The date, but they might know that. They might know that, and they're withholding it from us. They might know he was there, unless he got smart for once and didn't think. I just think they never thought they were going to get caught. Oh, they ran the website? What website? Chad's Books? Did he have that? Did he have enough business? They were proofreaders, and one did the vowels and the other did the consonants. Oh my God. So they were not only going to divvy the money up that they got, all these millions they were going to get, the 1 million from Brandon and the other million from Charles, they had to divvy up between Chad's kids. Then Tammy's $430,000. Yes, Lisa Henderson, I'm with you. I believe Chad's kids, or at least some of them, know something. I cannot believe that they just don't know anything, that they noticed something. Whether they could identify whether it was part of the killings or not, they saw or heard or suspected something. Yeah, and did the neighbors who said that they had outrageous bonfires? Yeah, they won't tell on Daddy, Lisa Henderson. Not by any means. 9 people were living in that home over the past months. 3 bedrooms and a bath and a half. Now, tell me that isn't a cult. Why didn't they go down to Guyana or wherever that is, where Jimmy Jones had? He had a lot of land down there. The cell phone records records by law enforcement are so extraordinary. I'm expecting them to be just as amazing when it comes to everyone's yes. Oh, I think they're going to have them nailed. I think it's the periphery people. I think the main characters are nailed. It's the periphery people that they want to tag. And the periphery people are the ones I'm mostly angry at. Chad and Lori, they're done. It's all the periphery people that were supporting everything that Chad and Lori were doing. Authorities stated Alex's digital footprint indicated he was in the Salem, Rexburg area on the day of the paintball gun incident. Okay. I think the dummy and her didn't get their hands dirty, or so they think. Maybe not. Maybe they just pushed the buttons, multi-sirens. Lisa Henderson, it was Alex. Yeah, I believe he could. I think, I'm going to be honest with you. If the last name is Cox, other than Adam and his son, Zach, who stood by Charles and still stand by Charles, if their last name ended with Cox at any point in their life, they could have done it. And Alex was a Cox. Didn't Chad's kids come back to comfort their father, then probably wanted to ensure that he didn't sell everything and run off with the money? What money? Her money? The money he got from the life insurance? Lori lived with Charles. Chad wanted that. More I learned proves Chad had a lot of kids, but little money. Like, really, how much does a grave digger make? Or is the cemetery funded by the church? Or does, or Golden Mare, just to be sarcastic, or does the cemetery give you a percentage for every body you bring to it? He might have been bringing bodies to the cemetery and getting a percentage. I'm being sarcastic. He was waiting in Chad's house for her to pull up. It was all greed. It's only a matter of time until Melanie Pulowski is charged with something in the attempt. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, you know, Ian acted innocent, but now I'm starting, there's like a Melanie Gibb category, and I'm certainly putting Ian with a question mark under that Melanie Gibb category, that he's really wearing a dunce hat. And if he's not wearing a dunce hat, he is part of them. What happened years ago for Barry Cox to change their last name from... did not know it, Kelly Fitzgerald. Where did you hear that? Did not know they were Connor to Cox. Chad wanted what Charles earned. Chad was lazy to work hard like Charles did his whole life. 100%. Betsy B says Zach Cox actually lived with Charles and Lori in Thailand, JJ. Yes, while he was in college. I'm adding that. He says Lori is insane and Melanie Pulowski is. And he also put it in writing, Betsy B, that Melanie Pulowski is in thick with the cult. Melanie Pulowski knew where the children were, and Melanie Pulowski lies through her teeth, if she really even has teeth. But anyways, yes, Betsy B, you're 100% right. He put it, Zach Cox put it in writing. Chad lived on his wife's support, yet ran around and why always BY. Oh yeah, he said, I'm gonna go right at B. Oh, he's creepy as that. When I ever heard that, oh honey, I'm off to BYU to do some writing. Oh my golly. Oh my golly, was he a fake? Ian knows, Lisa says. Melanie G knows more than she is saying. Yep. We got a Melanie list. We got a who's under Chad and Lori's list are all the Coxes. They're all involved to some degree. To some degree. And I don't even think minor. And then we got the Melanie Gibb side. Who's under and yes, Ian might be under her. In other words, he's up to something. He's up to something. I don't trust him. Someone said web sleuths or other YouTube channels. What does that mean? Oh, that's where you heard it. Okay, I asked you. Let me go back where I asked you something, Kelly. Now I can't find it. What was it that I asked you? If someone, I should have written it down. Yes, the parents have no contact with Chad, nor does his brother Matt, and hasn't his whole life, his whole adult life. Oh wow, Hannah, I haven't heard that even deeper, darker, and creepier. Oh, so what did Hannah say that I missed? I don't know how, Hannah. Me too, Golden Maya. I don't know what she said. Yeah, everything's creepy and dark about them. Everything. Him hanging out at that university. Yes, he could be, Lisa. He could be a serial killer. There's no question. No question whatsoever. I think Melanie G is a dupe being used by the church now as their way of washing their hands. Yes, that's true. Melanie Gibb, every interview she has been consistent in what she said happened. I know I'm in the minority. I just don't understand. Yeah, well, the thing is, Dutch Reagan, I'm not really sure if I trust. Okay, so this is why I have a problem with her. And I said this yesterday. I really thought she was an earnest person. Because once you're an earnest person, it's pretty hard to deviate from that. That's my ideal anyways. Whether it's true or not, it's my ideal. So I thought she was honest and forthcoming as much as her cultish kind of personality will allow her to be. But when I went over that police report, and I'll do it again, what I'll do is I'll shorten the police interview with Lori, her, and Tylee, and 2 police officers on January 31st when Lori had gone in to retrieve her purse. And they called in Charles to give her purse. That interview is about 35 minutes long. But there are so many parts, Dutch Regan, where they talk over each other that even though the officer or someone has mentioned something, you can't hear it unless you play it and play it and play it over. It took me forever to listen to one half of the 35 minutes or so, because I kept having to play it over and over and over. And I don't think it has anything to do with my lack of hearing, because I put a bud right in my good ear, the ear that has partial hearing. It's when 3 or 4 people are all talking over each other. So my decision to put Melanie Gibb in a question mark area came from that interview, came from her hiding critical information in that interview that the police were asking her about, they were asking her what Charles had shared with her that morning at his house. Charles had asked her over that morning, the same morning as this interview, on January 31st, 2019. And the police were somewhat grilling her in a friendly way to come forward with what he was telling her. And she did not do it. And she did not share with the police what he had told her. I think it might have helped change their perception of Lori. But instead she hid it. So what I'm saying to you is she has the ability to be cunning. That is cunning when a public official, he isn't your neighbor. He isn't the barman at your local pub. He's a public official. And when a public official asks you a question, there's certain integrity that we expect from the people being asked. She didn't share diddly squat with them. She was hiding what she knew to be true that would have been in detriment to Lori. So that is what has had me put her on my little list. And I'm putting Ian on that list as well, because I have many question marks about him. I do not trust Melanie Gibb right now. Golden Mare says Melanie showed her knowledge, which was of concern, but she did nothing but stay silent. You all guys always say it better than me. You always say it better than me. So what she did is a big puff job. She acted concerned. She acted like there must be something going on, but she didn't give the guts of the matter. She was only Margaret Gibson, protective of Lori. I think Ian was going to take over Alex's role as the enforcer. Oh my golly. Yeah, it'd be a wife and husband team, because Melanie Pulowski has the evil in her to do anything. It was David Warwick who had to drill it into her that they were bad. Yes, you're 100% right. She's trying to save her skin. Yep. Melanie Gibb didn't help the kids because they were in the way of their plan. She basically said this on Nate's interview. Yes, I agree with you. Hey, Gumshoe, Ash says. I say, hey, Ash Cray, or hey, Ash, however you say your last name. They are all evil, Rebel Rose says. About the shot at Brandon, seen somewhere that she shot. The shot came from out of the back of the Jeep. If true, who was driving? Chad. Well, we know it wasn't Melanie, or we think it wasn't Melanie, because he had dropped the 2 younger children off. Brandon had dropped the 2 younger kids off to Melanie and the 2 older ones to school. So we think it couldn't, but yes, you're right, because they were both seen. Who was seen the night of October 2nd wheeling the tire and the bench seat of the Jeep not wheeling the bench seat, but wheeling the tire and the bench seat out of the storage room facility. Who was it? Was it Chad that night or was it Alex that night? Chad and Lori. See? Yes. But that was the morning when they took a shot at Brandon. My memory, someone tell me if I'm wrong, was maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock-ish in the morning. I can't move my screen. Okay. MLP is as guilty as the rest of... Oh, she's bad news. Hannah, I think she is like the devil incarnate. if that's such a term. She's the devil. Yes, Mary Brown was all about it. Thank you, Margaret Gibson. Yes, Mary Brown is all about the cash. Who's Mary Brown? Oh, you're talking to another chat member. I get it. Oops, yes, it was Alex taking it out of the storage, but Chad and Lori putting it in prior. Yeah, I have a Jeep, guys. I have a Jeep, the same kind, 2-door with a bench seat. And I have to take out my bench seat a lot because it just doesn't allow you to do anything in it. It is so small back there. So I know exactly how the tire gets in the way and how you can't open. The door flips open. The back door swings open. So mine swings, if you're standing at the back door, my back door swings to the right. Okay? Only half of it, like a Dutch door. The top of it swings up, but you gotta open the back door to swing the glass up because the tire is in the way. So that is why it's not rocket science to me because I know how it works. There is no way you can open a Jeep window to put a gun out to shoot at someone, and you can't open the door because if you open the door will swing wide. So it is perfect evidence for the authorities. Aaron and Lexi, this is a crazy case. She just needs to keep talking. They'll handle the rest. Yeah, you're right, Ash. Do you think Chad was the driver or Lori? Probably Lori. Chad was too heavy set back then. He wouldn't have fit as nicely as Lori would in that front seat. There's not much room in those Jeeps, you know. Yes, I drive a Jeep Wrangler. I had Jeep Cherokees up until this Wrangler. Yes, up until this Wrangler. I've always had Jeeps. Okay. And this Jeep was actually bought from my granddaughter, but she doesn't even want to have a license yet. Jeep Grand Cherokee, it's a great Jeep for you. Yes, you know what? The Jeep Grand Cherokees, I don't want to tell someone misinformation, but I never did anything for repairs or anything, just maintenance, oil changes, a battery when it got up to 200,000 miles, that kind of stuff. Lisa, they saying the Jeep was parked when the shot was fired. But the problem with that, Dee, is no matter what, he was so enormously big. He was 230 pounds at around 6.1. Okay. Because I own the same type of Jeep, oh my God, I can't see him, even with the passenger seat, even if they took the passenger seat out in the front, the bucket seat. I know they took the bench seat out in the back. You have to. You don't understand. You can barely even get in the back seat of a Jeep. The only ones that can get in the back seats easily are very small children. So they had to take the bench seat out in the back. And they might have even taken the seat out in the front. But the best thing they could have done is made the passenger seat lay flat, like you're laying down. And that, what do you mean driving the mystery? Oh, I was the driver? Yeah, Gumshoe Graham was the driver. Is that what you're saying? James was here? How then did he do it, Grant? Maybe Alex was driving and a woman did the shoot. Yes. Now, they claim Alex is a good shot. I saw a video. Tell me, guys, if any of you say yes in the chat, if you saw a video of Alex in a firing place where you go to learn to target practice. You don't learn to target practice. You go there to target practice. I saw a video and his brother Adam and him were on vacation. And in that video, Adam said, my brother is a gun expert and an excellent shot. If you haven't seen it, Google it. It'll come up somewhere. Put Adam in and Alex and gun, and you'll get the video. I forget where it came out first. It came out maybe on a news spread, and then some of the creators, it could have been Zav Girl, Z-A-V, she might have put it on. She puts a lot of that stuff on. Yeah. So there's a video showing him shooting in, yes, shooting range, Rebel Rose. You can tell I know a lot about guns. Chad dug a hole on his land for Tammy's body while Lori and Alex attempted the murder. Wow. Did you hear about their ability to check phone pings from tower? Yes. Yes, I did. Yes, I knew about that from the Watts case. The Chris Watts cases, when I started really watching YouTube crime. I had always been interested in crime. And there's many things I have done in my life that has crossed over with crime, meaning I've done things professionally that have elements of crime in it, that I would be around people that were criminals, or I would be trying to advocate in some capacity for the victim of the criminal. So I've always had an interest in crime. And I did start out in school in criminal justice, but I changed my major halfway through. So here we go. I always wanted to keep till now. Driving the mystery mobile. Yeah. How did they do it, Grand? Maybe Alex was driving. Yeah. Yeah, maybe Lori was shooting. I can see her shooting. Chad was using pendulums to get answers. Regular Christians are warned away from occult stuff. You mean like pendulums? What do they do with them, Betsy B? I only know pendulums as far as trying to, what's it called? Hypnotize you. I don't know what's pendulums used for in other. I gotta read what Dutch says about Zalema. She's a mystery to me. If there was another driver, the only two, it could have been a Melanie Pulowski. Yeah, she could have had someone watching her two kids. You're right. He had dropped them off a little earlier to Melanie, but she could have very well, or Zalema, the future. Yeah. Ooh, you are right on it, Dutch Reagan. You are right on it. See, she wasn't, I never heard of her in the picture until they got married. Like, like I didn't ever hear the history of them being together. I know Pulowski lied and said they had been together for months, but you know, anything coming out of Pulowski's mouth, months to her might mean one day. Catherine, hey, how are you? The day of Brandon's, she had a shooting. Who had a shooting certificate? Who are you talking about? Mel P had a sharp shoot. No, you're kidding. I can't see anything that Melanie Pulowski could be sharp at other than distorting truth. Hey, this is a fun chat. I've relaxed in this one because usually I'm trying to like get what I'm supposed to say out. I have all these ideas and then I get sidetracked. But no, this one's fun because we're exploring possibilities. How do you think Chad felt when Tammy wasn't murdered by the gunshot? I truly believe a bullet is left around Tammy and Chad's home in a tree or somewhere. Did they even look for it? I thought the same, Catherine. I thought the same. When the Salem police or whoever the police is that has jurisdiction came out to Chad's house that night of October 9th when she was shot at, did they look for a bullet? Or did they just believe that it was some type of paint gun or some kind of play gun of sorts? Isn't there possibly video cam footage showing Tylee being moved around the townhouse property like in the Watts? Yes. Yes. You mean outside? I don't know about that. Are you talking moved around the property? So like from one door to another, or her being walked to a car, or them backing up where those were two-floored townhouses. They actually had access through a front door. They could have pulled the door right up tight up to that little it was like a little vestibule that was in the middle of or the side of the townhouse so that no one would have caught it, maybe. Yeah, they could have pulled her Jeep right up to it. See, those Jeep back doors, like my Jeep back door, guys, it swings 180 degrees. So you could open that back door and actually flatten the back of the Jeep against the vestibule of the house. Yes, this chat is relaxing chat, even though we're talking hard, wicked thing. Yeah, usually I'm too uptight because there's usually something that has just irritated me. I didn't get irritated with the Dateline, as I said before, because I felt that it didn't add anything other than prove that Melanie Gibb can wear a dunce hat very well, and that she should sit maybe in the dunce corner. Kelly, she was with the kids that day, though. That's how they knew Brandon was gone. Yes. And remember, she had given Ash Craig, she had given one of her kids, or maybe more, a GPS watch so they could track where Brandon was. I heard an emergency call from Alex's stepson and didn't even know they were married. 100%. Did we all hear that, didn't we? He said on the call, it's my mother's boyfriend, and he claimed he didn't even know his last name. 100%, I heard the same. That's when Alex died. Yes, he died later in the hospital that afternoon. You know what I said? I never posted it. You guys can imagine what I videotape that I don't post. But I said, remember Joseph Zulema's son said but 911 operated. There's feces on the floor. And she goes, oh no, I know that's gross, but you got to please give him CPR. And I said in one of my videos that I never posted, I said, no, there wasn't feces on the bathroom floor. The whole body was a big feces. Because I'm a wise guy. Alex's stepson sounds like he didn't really care one another. Cox. Lisa Henderson, you're right on it. He could have cared less. He didn't want to turn the body in the right position. He was worried about the feces. You know what a normal person would have done. They would have grabbed a towel on the towel rack, right? And then would have thrown it over the feces, right? That would have been it. And they might have been gagging a little bit, but hey, when you're trying to save a life, all that stuff goes by the wayside. He might know, yes, from his mother, Lisa Henderson. Yes, he might know something from his mother. If you didn't tell the police that this dude you work for said his wife is going to die, you need some charges. I know, huh? Yes, Gran, I didn't think he was given CPR. Multi-Siren said she doesn't think that Joseph Lopez, Zalema's son, was given the CPR as he was indicating to the 911 person. He was saying he was, but I agree with you. And then when his mother ever appeared, I don't know if she did either, but it doesn't matter because Alex, just like Summer and Janice and them all say, is up in who knows where. And yes, he's not on this earth anymore, but he's in the right place. Yeah, I don't think he was given CPR. I think Joseph Lopez was like, hey, I got a date in 5 minutes. You know, I'm not going near this gross person. Julie probably enjoyed Chad rubbing his body next to hers. Oh, come on. What? Did Chad was on top of her? What? Did she really say that? Did Julie Rowe really say that Chad had climbed on top of her or something? She knew. That's gross. She knew Tammy was supposed to die too. Spike the like button and show Graham some love, Rebel Rose says. Rebel's my counterpart. We've already figured out that we're both the type that believe in extreme advocation, not criminal advocation. Extreme advocation is the only way you make moves. We need a dunce cap. James was here. I had a subscription to crime magazines in the late 50s. Some of those pictures were graphic. I was thinking of being a detective. I sure learned a lot. Had forgotten about it till now. Now, Ted Bundy, as I said this morning, Ted Bundy actually said that's what, and you guys can agree to disagree or whatever that saying is, but Ted Bundy said that he became a serial killer because of the extreme pornography that he was exposed to. Because when they had pornography that was hardcore, he said it always entailed extreme violence. And he said right before his execution, he let this one reporter, I can't remember the reporter's name, but he let the reporter in right before he had his last dinner or whatever they give him, right? And right before that last dinner, he said that he thinks all of his murderous ways were attributed to him viewing hard porn. Not soft porn, not ladies undressed or things like that. Very aggressive, hard porn. So that's where he had gotten. So how did Chad get his, may I ask? How did Chad get his propensity to murder? No one I knew was reading them. They were detailed with the graph. Most thought weird. I wanted to read that. They were into romance novels, which I never bothered with. Golden Mia, I was like you somewhat, but because I came from a very poor family, I only had dictionaries and encyclopedias, because of course back then we had those, big stacks of encyclopedias. And that's what I read. That's what I read, encyclopedias. Chad needed a scooter, too many women for an obese man. Yeah. Oh my God. Ted Bundy was creepy and loved violence. Yes. And he admitted to it right before he died. He said he got it from extreme violent porn, from being raised on it. He raised himself on it. He searched it out. He would go to any place that he thought porn would be available, and he would steal it or, get himself involved with it. Yeah, me too, Rebel Rose. See? Yeah, but I didn't have any books. We were lucky if we had furniture. You know what I mean? So the encyclopedia and the dictionary. Some of the animals buried in their graveyard was probably tortured and killed. Yes, Lisa. Lisa, you're hitting on all this psychopathology stuff. You're like really hitting these really dark places that are very perceptive. Very, very perceptive. Yes, he was probably killing and torturing animals. And by the way, why would you have to kill, unless you had a garden or the raccoon kept getting into your garbage? But why would you have to kill a raccoon in the middle of the day? Usually a raccoon up in a tree in the middle of the day, it's because her little babies are running around and she's keeping an eye on them. So what man, if he really did ever kill a raccoon? But some of the animals buried in their graveyard. Yeah, I already read that. Ted Bundy was creepy and loved violence. Chad needed a scooter. Most thought weird. I wanted to read. Yeah, I didn't like romance novels, but I like romance movies only when I need to simmer my brain down, because they kind of relax me. They make me think of nothing. They're like meditative for me. And plus, they have that element of love. So it's endearing to watch a movie that has the goal of love and not evil. Raised to read Middle English Bible, dictionary, and encyclopedia. We're on the same plate. Library 2 blocks away. I read the Wall Street Journal, and I read the Mystery Books newspaper at home, and was biblical dictionary. And at home was Bible dictionary encyclopedias. You had an exciting life just like me, Catherine. Raccoons are nocturnal and they sleep in the day. That's why I don't believe that garbage text. That was early morning. I had the raccoon, not late morning, as dummy is staring. Yeah. Oh, I understand, but I've seen them trying to protect their little ones running around in the day. I've happened to have one in my own yard, sitting in a tree limb. I came out my porch, and there was the raccoon, and she had all her babies. Like they were going up and down the tree, and she was just watching them. So that's what gave me the idea that, yeah, she might have had babies. But I don't believe his story anyways. I wish it was a mountain lion and it had jumped on him from the tree. Yeah, I know. I had one, Rebel Rose. I had another one at a different home, and he was rabid. I did have a rabid one once walking by my house in the middle of the day. He was out of sorts. They're speculating that he put her body in another person's grave with them. What? Ash, what are you saying? Please tell me what I've missed. I've been talking too much. Yes, that's all. Yes, Catherine, it was just a ruse for Tammy to know why it looked unearthed in that pet cemetery. April Raymond, Lori's Hawaiian friend, also was told by Lori of the zombie. Yep. And Lori being the head of the, yep. Yeah. And she wanted April to come. But she told April that if she came into the 144,000 club, that she'd have to leave her two sons. They want to tear that graveyard up to see what he's done. They know he's truly disturbed. Yeah, he's another, what's his name? We talked about him this morning. Dahmer. That's what he reminds me of, Jeffrey Dahmer. Chad Daybell reminds me of Jeffrey Dahmer. He really does. Anyone who runs and gets a gun just to hunt down an animal and kill it is yeah, that's what I mean. It's a story. Lisa, it's a story. He didn't really do that. There's probably other things, like people have said, in his little pet cemetery. We'll send Stephen King over. This is really I say his name, I say Stephen King. This is Stephen King's novel. This is not real. We are all walking in Stephen King's novel. Oh my God. Yes, I won't, Hannah, because it's really not about the religion. It's taken the religion another way. I don't want them to down another religion. I know religions all start by being a cult. They wouldn't be religions if their primary, when religions are born, they're born as a cult. They're born as a group of people. And they get bigger and bigger, and some veer off into smaller groups. We are talking about a Chad Daybell group, a Lori Daybell Cox. Now, I think the Cox are more evil than Chad Daybell. Hi, Venus Rising. Julie Rowe was definitely in love with him. Yeah, you can tell, Jennifer Knight. There's no question. The thing is, you listen to a player in the case, interview, or video, then new evidence is revealed, and you have to, yes, that's what I do all the time. Someone wrote me, and they said, why are you talking about old news? There's just some wise guy, and I say it all the time. I have to keep going back, because what they said 4 months ago does not have the meaning 4 months later when I have more information. You can't read something 4 months before and apply it to the future. So you have to go back. You have to keep reminding yourself about the elements of the case. The Cox family all give, yes, Hannah. Hello, Matt Man Productions. What kind of productions, Matt Man? Old becomes the now important. And yes, just like us, whoever's old in this, what I miss, I don't know. We're just, I talked about Melanie Gibb's interview last night, Matt. I talked about that there wasn't anything really revealing in it. I mean, she talked a little bit about JJ's behavior, climbing the refrigerator, and that he was zombified, but we all knew that. I mean, and we all know that's a bunch of nonsense. But I guess it was a way to say to them that he's a really bad boy because he's climbing the refrigerator. Yes, Rebel Rose, you have bad people in every religion, and it all depends to what level of evil they take it to, is how they consider the cult. Yes, and how they diverge off from the main. You know, Jeffrey was actually charming through, and he wanted to keep you forever. Jeffrey was actually charming through. Maybe it was Tylee running away wherever it happened. He was just, ooh. Poor Tylee. Is he hey, SMH 9000. Oh, so you do video editing, music, 3D productions, and oh, nice. Very nice. I'm going to share with you Matt Man Productions. I don't know any of those, but I can respect it because I see how nice everyone does. I'll have to check out your channel later. I'll have to check out if you have a YouTube channel that you display some of your work on. Yeah, so you just missed that. You just missed about Melanie wasn't forthcoming to the police. And I was whining about, I wish she had the oomph to go back to the police department after they all left and shared really what Charles had talked to her about, because Charles had told her that he was scared for the kids' lives in his life and that he thought she was on a murderous path. I'm trying to condense this as much as I can because I have a hard time syncing things, but that's about how I started off. I was trying to continue the dialogue in that police interview. I was reading it yesterday and I got very tired, so I was going to continue it today, but we haven't done that. We've been just chatting. I have family members who are LDS who I love and respect. I have always read extensively on religions and cults as well, always fascinated. See? So this is what I mean. There's good people in every parts of life, even the Nazis. Even, did anyone see that movie, one of my most favorite movie of all times? Now, I can't remember if it's so favorite that I can't remember if it was The Piano or The Piano Man. It must have been The Pianist. He was a prisoner. He was a pianist in Germany, and he got captured. No, he didn't get captured. He hid. And there was some Nazis who were feeding him to keep him alive. Even though they were killing the bulk of, the 6 million people. Even though they were killing them, this one particular Nazi was bringing him foods. Do you think the bag over JJ's head came from Laura? Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah, either one, Lisa. Lori's kitchen or Alex's. Yeah. Oh, yes, that's why I'm hoping there's Dan. I believe, yeah. Seeing that Chad was trying to get a permit. Yes, I saw that too, D. Witzel. He was trying to get a permit to pour cement pad for a modular home. Betty was going to put it right over the pet cemetery. He did not get the permit. Yeah. I would have given them it. And then I would have gone out. If I was the town, I would have given them the permit. And you know how they have to come and check? Like they usually section it off. Like first you get your permit, then they come out to make sure that the pause right or something, and then they come at the completion of the job, I would have given him the damn permit so I could nose around in his yard. All that had a reason for concern. Busy separating. Seen that Chad was okay, all that. Rebel Julie is still married. Julie claims she went home and told her husband about Chudder's hugging her tight. Oh. Yeah. Who knows? Every time they interview another one of Chad's friends or counterparts or contemporaries, I go, there's another one. Julie Rose, one of them. I do have a channel, but I haven't used it for my productions in over 2 years. With a crying face, why aren't you, Matt? I resigned from the LDS church after reading so much history about Warren Jeffs. I don't believe you buy your way to heaven either. Well, if you take away medication from an autistic person, they will act up, says Matt. Yeah, of course. Do you think Tylee was killed not on the property? So I'm right back at the beginning. How many people we got here? Okay. Were any of Chad's kids at home when the bodies were brought to his house? Are they keeping silent? Good grief. He is so unattractive. What's with these women? I know, huh? Julie Rowe has always said that she has never been interviewed at any time by law enforcement. Oh, they couldn't. If that is true, you're saying you don't believe it? But if it's true, I understand why they haven't. She's a pain in the neck. You did a brave thing. It takes a lot of fortitude to leave, to escape LDS. By your way to heaven says much for main thinking of church. Okay, I don't understand that, guys. What do you mean by your way to heaven? By, B-U-Y? Like, can someone tell me what that means? Emma lived across the street, so I'm sure Emma knew something. Yeah, and Emma's she would not be my school teacher, Matt, man. She would not be my school teacher. I don't like how she handles herself. It's very sad. We really need to study more mental health issues for all of us to be safe and create prevention, damn it. Yeah, you're right. It's all about prevention. That makes me want to throw up. Wow, Rebel, says Multi Sirens. Lori was the first beauty queen he had an affair with. You know the old saying, she gave good. That's the reason makes me ill. Yeah, she had a lot of experience. Loads of experience. Some of Chad's friends are coming out of the woodwork and saying how shocked they are with Chad. They are disassociating themselves with Chad. Yeah, I'm disassociating just thinking about Chad. Was Emma the one waving? Yes, and sticking her tongue out. And who gave the finger? Was it Chad? Chad gave the finger at one point because the neighbor had hung a T-shirt saying, "Where's the kids?" Yes, some of the kids have to be involved. Only my idea. I hope they're not. I hope they're not. Matt Man says, two gold digger Chad and Lori chasing after the money, but yet they both don't have a pot to piss it. No, they just stole from everyone else, took from everyone else. They don't know. Their hands have never worked. And obviously their minds haven't. The only side of their mind is, maybe they got hit over the head. They say some criminals become criminals after head injury. Lori always went for the money her whole life. Correct. If you look where she lives, so what was Chad? Chad was not the money. Her stairway to heaven. She thought she had hit the jackpot. Did you see that picture? I might have even used it for one of my videos. She's leaning up against something at a grocery cart, and she's looking at him like she's spellbound. But Catalina Daybell is the only one with the money now. Yeah, but does he have any left, Rebel? They were all dropped on their beans. Mental health is a public health. Yes. Well, Chad kids. Well, for people, let's put it this way. Any of the victims and the real victims left behind, the Attorney General's office in those states have money expressly to help victims. So if you have a copay, like if insurance won't pay for mental health care, or if you have a sizable copay that you can't afford, they'll pay all of that for you. The Attorney General's, there is also state funds. There's the Attorney General's funds, but there's also a state, and each state has a pocket of money set aside for exactly people that are victims of these kind of heinous crimes. Some so-called Christian churches, the tithe is key to heaven. Scripture does not support that, though we are able to fund the church's charity. I have no comment, because some so-called Christian churches. Oh, so yeah, giving the money, Scripture does not support that. Of course not. Yes, though we are able to fund the church's charity, local or distant. Emma sold her Cadillac the week Ooh, oh my God, Betsy B. Well, what they said was Chad didn't have much money left. He had like 100,000 left or so, and I'm sure that was used up just on his attorney. Wonder if any bodies were transported in that car. That's exactly what I thought, Betsy, when you mentioned it. Is that they can get that back. They know where that car is. Is the church standing behind all these members? Are they helping authorities to prosecute? That's a good question. I hope they're doing the prosecutions. Yes, Golden but sometimes I mess up the chat. I just lost the chat. Oh, Kurt. Okay, guys, I'm trying to get you back. I'm trying to see the chat. And it's not here yet. But it's coming. Here it is. Guys, I'm just about done because I'm getting a little tired. But thank you very much for coming. Is the church standing behind? Oh, yeah, I read that. LDS do not buy their way to heaven. And Warren Just has his own church, not related to. Oh, I didn't know that, Hannah. And I didn't know anything about buying their way to heaven. And yes, we can't talk church or politics here because we'll never agree. because I do find oddities in some of the churches and some of the religions. I find them odd. But if I start spouting that, and the people that go to the church are good people, it's not fair to them. We're only talking evil people. We're not talking good church people. Does not T stand behind them one bit? Church does not stand behind them one bit. The only people that tell you that you need to buy your way to heaven is the ones that want your money. Isn't it funny they were acting like teenagers, going to the beach every day, you know, packing their chairs, and they were acting, they weren't working. It was February 20th when she got arrested in Hawaii, and they had been there for months. The first time they took off was the latter end of November, so they had been there December, January, and February. I know they came back once, but other than that, they were on vacation 3 months. They had a 3-month honeymoon from Tammy Daybell. Unbelievable. Graham, I have a question. Is Howard Stern, what the heck? Why is Howard Stern my son? That's the funniest question. Howard Stern, my son. Why are you saying that? Identify your question. Thanks, Graham. I went to the Mormon church for a few months. The members were not at all like Chad and Lori. They would be horrified. Yes. The bulk of any religion gets horrified. It has nothing to do with the church. It has to do with a certain minority of people. Thanks, Graham, for keeping politics and religion. Your channel is a safe place. Good, I'm glad. Yes, we love being here as well as Rebel. Graham, I have a question. Is Howard, I don't get her question. Is there an inside joke there that I don't know? I love you, Graham and Gumshoe family. Thank you, Rebel. Thanks, Graham. Okay, thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. As I always say, keep faith over fear. You know, there's a lot of ugly out there. So always beware. Always beware. Have a great day, everyone. Oh, I don't know anything about trolls, but I'll figure that out. Spike the like button and show Graham some love. Have a great day. I dealt local with one as evil as can be. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, another was amazing, like Charles, and he was a converted LDS. Yes, he was. He came from the Catholic Church. Have a great day, everyone. Stay safe.